Welcome to my channel called Point of No Return. I'm doing my top 10 couples, which was really hard because there's a lot that I really like. So in 10th place, I have Kingston and Lola. This is a non-canon ship, if that's what you call it, or a couple that didn't get together officially on the show, and I don't think there was even any hint of those two liking each other in the writing perspective. But I really like this couple. It's just fairly simple as I think they have really just very sweet chemistry. I wouldn't say their chemistry is over the top or anything, but or amazing, but I just really like their interactions. I really like the storylines of them helping each other out when East and West were going to merge in season 5. And I really wish, had Lola stayed on, it would have been really nice to develop this friendship even more, especially as those two, Lola and Kingston, were both new characters to season 5. So I just really liked that, and I think one of my favourite scenes from them was definitely when I think Lola was nervous, and then she was biting her nails, and then Kingston says, "Oh, you're nervous," and they talk about that, and they just it's just a small little thing that they connect on. But yeah, really nice storyline, like I said, just very cute, and yeah, so they managed to make it into my top 10. And next we have, in 9th place, we have Josh and Piper. And again, same kind of vibe really. I just found them very cute. I did find that they had more chemistry than Kingston and Lola, and obviously there were actually feelings there. Piper liked Josh, but unfortunately they weren't reciprocated, and I find that a bit strange. It's a weird one, because in some scenes I'm like, okay, I don't think Josh liked Piper that way, but there's some moments which I'll explain in a second, which I think it feels like Josh does like Piper, but that's just the way the storyline goes. Again, I found them very lovely, very sweet. I think their friendship was very nice and very natural and organic. I really like that when I see that on screen. And again, one of my favourites, so in every couple I will be mentioning a favourite scene from them. So for them, the favourite scene I liked was when they were both lying on the floor. I think it was after a duet they did, potentially, but yeah, there was something. I think they'd just done a dance practice, and they both were lying on the floor next to their heads next to each other, and Josh was saying "Oh, close your eyes, picture the country, the stars or something, picture the open sky," and it was coming from the fact that Josh was a country boy, and Piper specifically said she's a city girl, and I really liked that. I really liked just a little bit of more in depth about where these characters have come from, because Josh was also new to season 5, obviously Piper not. Moving on to 8th place, we have Noah and Jackie. I think people generally find them very cute, but I have found more of a liking for Noah and Amanda. But yeah, I will talk about these guys. Yeah, I do like them together. I think that they had a really nice storyline when they first met, which I think was the off season, and they touched hands by accident on the bar. I found that very cute, very natural, and very realistic. I loved the growth of them, of liking each other, in the mix of Henry, and I liked that it wasn't a classic love triangle. Henry really liked Jackie, but again, it was a bit annoying that he was kind of gatekeeping her in a sense, because it's if you don't even actually like Jackie, why are you upset just because your friend now likes her? It was a bit Henry, come on, But anyway, that aside, yeah, I think they just had a very cute love story. I really liked the idea of these two being on opposite teams for a while, when Noah decided to switch. I liked that dynamic a lot, and I think it really gave us a chance for them to write in the small little cute moments, when Jackie came and took off her TNS jacket, because obviously she was going to be the team that was competing, and like to comfort like Noah, like I really like those sort of things. And then moving on to like season 6, that again, very solid, very nice. But I think the reason why I've placed them here is because, and again, this is just my opinion, the couples like above them, I just felt more for them as a couple when they're on screen. Like, this is kind of the category, I would call this like category of these couples, like where it's like they are just lovely to watch on screen. But it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think they have so much chemistry, like I really want them to end up together. And so I think that's why Noah and Jackie are where they are. So in 7th place, I have Talia and Eldon. And again, for me, they're the final, I feel like, couple in that category of like, they're really lovely to watch on screen. I think their chemistry is nice. I don't think they have this one that really pops out the screen, but it was, I think, a sweet beginning. It did feel a bit when it first happened. I was like, okay, Eldon and Talia, and I really like rolled my eyes because I was like, oh, this is going to be the 3rd girl that Eldon will be involved with. But I really like that he committed to it, and I absolutely loved. I love that they continued dating for like seasons that we didn't see them, and then when they came back, season 6, like they were still together. I really loved that, and I love that you watch them grow into adults and just be dating. Like, I feel like that's kind of realistic, that like somebody who they didn't necessarily get together when they were really young, because at this point it was season 3, and so I really liked that. It felt like, oh, somebody like from the studio might like literally like just continue being together, if you know what I mean. So we're going to talk about, I've just got to add this, I'm just ignoring the fact that they have supposedly broke up and they're now hinting at Michelle and Eldon. I know in real life that even like I've just said, long-term relationships, it can still end. But I think it's just such a shame, because I think it would be nice to see somebody last other than Jiley. Like, it would be very, very lovely. And I feel like, again, the way we just saw so much together, so much of them together as adults. And I just find it such a shame to just ruin all those seasons of that growth and that development of them being together. Honestly, I don't know what the writers were thinking. Yeah, but that's the way the writers decided to take it. I've kind of just erased that bit from my memory, because I'm just not feeling that development. But anyway, Talia and Eldon. A scene that pops out for me is when they're looking for sweet spots together, because I really like that was Talia's thing, and then Eldon kind of like joins her, like, and was interested in that. Like, I really like those sort of things where one character really dives into what the other person's interested in. Those are the couples that I categorize as really just cute to see on screen, but that's as far as my feelings go about them. So in 6th place we have Henry and Summer, and now this is where it's getting into the category of, oh, I really, really like them together. So Henry and Summer, you know what, for the longest time I actually really liked Henry and Amy, and then like on reflection I feel like they maybe suited more like in season 6, but after that I just felt like they're more like grown up. It just felt like they didn't really suit, to be honest, and they kind of just have to keep pushing this storyline. That's how I felt anyway. But honestly, and I think also what plays a part is in the behind the scenes, sorry, I'm talking about Amy and Henry now, how it came about was, obviously they both actors came in season 4, and then in season 5 we got nothing from those two, and then in season 6 I think one of the writers or directors, I'm not sure, that kind of sat those two down and said, oh, because you two really get on, like, can we start like a storyline with Henry and Amy or something like that. And I just found that a bit like, that's such a shame, because I think actually Amy and Henry are really good friends. Like, I felt like their chemistry was just actually quite natural, very fun. And I just didn't really see them more as that. But anyway, that's just a side to how I feel about Henry and Amy. But in my opinion, I like Henry and Summer much better, even though you could tell that wasn't meant to be the couple that was meant to be the ones for each other. I just really liked these two. I was drawn to these two being together. And when my favourite scene of theirs is when they did that duet. I found it so cute, like the one where they were just having fun. They felt like a proper like couple, and that they really like, I don't want to say in love with each other because they're like young, and it just started, but it felt like they really, really liked each other. Like there was no unnecessary drama to an extent. And yeah, it just felt very natural. I really love natural chemistry and natural storyline. Obviously their progression into season 7 was still cute, but like again, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that Amy and Henry were meant to be like the end game, so I was a bit like, I'm just waiting for that to happen. Yeah, that's my take on those two. In 5th place now, we're going to top 5. We have Hunter and Emily. Now, I know this is a big one, and I know a lot of people have like the very strong opinions about how they ended, and same, I completely agree on those feelings. I really love these two. Again, for me, it was the same. Henry and Summer, Hunter and Emily, like definitely Hunter and Emily on a more level. I think they had even more chemistry. That's why they're above Hunter, Henry and Summer. It felt so nice to see Emily like let her guard down. I felt like when she was with Eldon compared to when she was with Hunter, it just felt different. Like I just felt her and Hunter had so much fun together. Again, I felt like Hunter really liked Emily, like really, really likes Emily, even more than Michelle. Yeah, there's not much I could really say about them. I would say my favourite scene from them is when they got locked in the cupboard. I felt that was just a very natural storyline, and again, I liked season 2 where they had like that cupboard and I liked those little added sets. Yeah, I just, those two actors together, I think they were great. And again, I just really liked the organic storyline with them, how they were vying for other people, it wasn't really working out, and then they kind of just have this realization like, oh, actually, you're somebody, you know, that's, I think I really like. Now, the writing. I remember being younger, much younger, when I was watching it, a teenager, and being furious when they broke up. I was upset when they broke up, but then when it was all over, nothing. No explanation from Emily. It's like the writers just couldn't be bothered to even have closure, like some sort of scene between those two. But honestly, their interactions afterwards, like nothing. It was like they weren't even a couple. It was like it never even happened. And I was, I could rant all day about it. But yes, let's just say I was very disappointed that this couple ended like this. I would rather a couple have a conclusion, even if I didn't like the conclusion where they didn't get back together. But at least there would have been something to be like, or at least if you saw them be like more friends and stuff. And then randomly, in the end of season 2, there's this thing with Emily and West, and I was confused. I was very confused. I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, what are they doing with Emily's love life? Like, they had a solid plan, it felt like. And that's fine if they wanted to add that element with Amanda and all that. I think that fixed really well. But then, again, it's like they just completely forgot that those two were together. But anyway, that's just a side note on that. Still, again, doesn't take away anything from how much I really like these two. And to be honest, the couples above them, I think they have just as much chemistry as all the couples above them. I think I've just put them in this place because of the depth of their storyline, when it was pretty much like they were together for a chunk of time and then that was pretty much it. Like, we got nothing else. So that is literally the only reason why they are in 5th place. Anyway, moving on. In Fourth place, this is where I think it's going to get a bit like, you know, the very difference of opinions. But again, this is just like my favourite couples. I'm going, like, other videos I hope to make are, they'll be like more objective, like good, like the best dances. And then like I'll really try my best to differentiate when I'm doing like a video about my personal favourites and what I think are like the best like written characters or the best choreographed dances, that sort of thing. Anyway, in fourth place we have James and Riley. Oh, yeah, nobody flip out. Right, James and Riley. Right, this top four, it was really hard for me to place. And pretty much, for me, the top four now is like, I think all of them have brilliant chemistry. I think I really love their storylines, and I think they could all move around in my head sometimes. Like, I think, yeah. But anyway, fourth place, I've stuck to it, James and Riley. I guess I didn't have to explain that much about it because they have the most in-depth storyline. We see them from season 1 through to season 4. That was the main part, but we still see them in season 5 a little bit also. And I really like them, and I think they have absolutely brilliant chemistry. I think the two actors, Brittany and Trevor, I think they, from the get-go, like, it's playing the awkward teenagers. Obviously, they were very young as well, so you could tell, but I think from the get-go they just fitted, in my opinion. Loved the progression through, and yeah, I just love their story. I really do. I think they really work. I think the only reason why I have placed James and Riley fourth and why the couples above them are above them is purely because of the cheating, to be honest. And I know a lot of people have said this, and this is what I hope to dive more into, like my channel be about these certain, like, you know, decisions in the writing and things, just like a deep dive. You know what, I was fine with the season 2 storyline where James kissed Beth. They were much younger, and I feel like they were still trying to like figure out their relationship, and also it felt like it wasn't necessarily like an emotional cheating. It was more just like, oh, it happened in the moment. James spent the rest of the season like making up to Riley and showing Riley that he was really sorry and that it was a mistake. Once they moved past that, I felt like that like made them a lot stronger. But it felt like they took that cheating very seriously. Like, James cheated and it was this big thing. There was massive ripple effects. So that I was fine with. And then season 3, I wouldn't necessarily say is the peak, because I really liked post like the cheating thing, like when they resolved it eventually, and I really did like the beginning. So I think their overall 1 to 3 storyline, like season 1 to 3 storyline, was really good. I wish with my whole heart that they cut it there. Or, not that I didn't want James and Riley as characters in the show. I really liked Riley being studio head. But in all honesty, this Alfie storyline was just a step too far. Then for Riley to now cheat on James, it just felt that for me that's too much. It's like, okay, you're not a good couple then. Like, you haven't learned. Like, Riley was so hurt by what James did. I just don't understand why Riley needed to cheat. Like, Riley should have been like, as soon as she realised her feelings, I feel like it literally could have just been this thing of like, I'm sorry James, I need to take a step back and just really figure out my feelings. Like, had they cut out that whole bit, I feel like James would still been heartbroken, still been emotional. That was the way they written, that's the way they wrote those characters. And so as a couple, yeah, I don't think then they're as strong as the couples above them. In third place, we have Finn and Piper. They are one of my favorite couples. I don't think I really have anything bad to say about them. I loved that they were purely just friends in season 6. Finn maybe liked Piper, but he was just a bit like, okay, if she said no, then he just kind of got on with it. I really liked that dynamic. I liked him kind of, coming and being the new kid, when, you know, Piper's a really established character and them just forming that bond. I loved how he supported her through anxiety and how he was that friend. I loved when they danced together. I just like every time those two on screen, I'm just like, oh, I really, really like them. I think the chemistry is really good. I think sometimes they do feel, maybe that's a bit harsh. I think that Trevor and Brittany have more chemistry, and the actors who played Hunter and Emily have more chemistry, a tiny bit more than Piper and Finn, but maybe just a tiny bit more. And I don't know how I even feel about that, but and I think I have so many favorite scenes from Finn and Piper. When Finn danced like at the regionals, when Piper fell and just wanted to be alone, but she cheered her up. When Piper was in the juice bar and was explaining how she feels like just horrible, that like everybody just remembers that they had to do planks because of her, and how Miss Angela made her feel. And then Finn was just saying like, you've got to let it go because it just doesn't mean anything. Like, I loved that. But I think my favourite scene from them is when they start getting romantic, is when Finn like was looking at Piper when she took her hair down. This was season 7. I think when like something to do with the bike date that Piper was organising, and it was just so cute. I really liked those two. I really liked the way Finn looked at her. I just felt like, oh man, he really likes her. And it's the same, unfortunately, there's James and Riley. I think other than this, they would be first, in my opinion, I think. But yeah, they again, they cheated. It's a bit more bearable because they kind of didn't necessarily cheat on each other. These two were doing the cheating, which doesn't make it any better. But I mean, in terms of like how well I think they go together, it's kind of like they cheated because they wanted to be together, that sort of thing. But again, it's like, why the cheating thing? It's just cringe. I think it's a cop-out of how to make drama in a couple. Cheating's quite a big thing, and I don't know if these type of characters, the way they set them up, and they're very lovely and very, you know, good friends and stuff, I don't know if they would cheat that often. I just don't get it. I really don't get it when they do that. And so it has tainted it a little bit for me, a little bit, but less so than the James and Riley cheating, but yes. Okay, now coming on to the final two. In second place, we have Daisy and Heath. So as you all know, this is a non-canon ship, so they didn't actually become a couple in the show, but I think the Next Step writers were heavily skirting that line, not necessarily actually in season 8, but Daisy and Heath, wow. I must say, the enemies, or shall I say, not even necessarily enemies, because Heath was more open than Daisy, but how they met was great. It was explosive, it was very understandable, with Daisy really struggling with Heath after what she'd heard, how he was the mole on his previous team. I really liked it. And as we got to know Daisy, it really felt like it really fit with who she was as a character. Yeah, I just really liked it. I really, really liked the kind of enemies to, wow, kind of friends pipeline. I'd love to say lovers, but they weren't lovers. But I just loved that. Very like intense scenes, like when they would, when a bit later in the season, when Daisy thought that Heath was maybe like plotting again, and Heath was really upset, and I think he was even like, I'm done, like, you know, and yeah, just like the emotional journeys they go through, and that's not even, for me, they have, for a non-canon ship, they have, I think, the best chemistry. That is why I think they're number 2, in my opinion. When both of them are on screen together, I'm excited. Like, you know, season 8 was a season that I didn't actually watch when it came out, because at that point I was away from I didn't watch The Next Step. But then I'd hear people talking about, like, online, it's like, oh, Daisy and Heath, and I was just like, well, I didn't really know who Daisy was. But when I went back and watched season 8, particularly 8B, wow, like, it's so, like, fun seeing those two on screen, seeing their development, their growth, and Melody and Carter, I think, have absolutely immense, like, chemistry. They feel like such good friends. I don't know if they are in real life, but they seem it, because I think that it just explodes on the screen. And that's, I think I will finish it off with my favourite scene for them has to be their duet in season 9 when Daisy leaves. Man, like, it's one of my favourite duets. It's just such it's just full of chemistry. I know I keep saying chemistry, but honestly, that is why they've literally surpassed people like Jiley, because I think that chemistry alone has managed to push them this far. And in my opinion, I am on the side of, if they became lovers, I wouldn't mind. Obviously, they're not going to, because Melody has left, or Daisy's left the show, or left The Next Step. Sorry. But I know, I don't know what the percentage is, but I know a lot of people are very heavily like, oh, they're just like, I'd love it if they just stayed friends, which they did. But honestly, I really could see them as lovers. Like, you know, I hope that maybe if Melody came back, Daisy and Heath would continue to have scenes together, because I love seeing them together. And yeah, that's what I could say really about them. And finally, in first place, Ozzy and Rochelle. Where do I even begin? Now, this is also another debated about whether some people I think really love them together. I think I've seen a majority positive that they ended up together, but there are a chunk of people, I think, including a certain YouTuber who is just like, doesn't like them together. But honestly, I am on that train, and I'm on that train forever. I just love their development. I love the storyline. I love that it was kind of unpredictable. Like, I didn't see, again, because I didn't watch season 8, when I did go back and watch it, and then I realised, oh, they're actually doing this thing. Like, nothing. And then in season 8, but that's the thing, not nothing. I do like the notion that Ozzy's kind of always liked her, and then he kind of got to a point where he was like, you know what, me and Rochelle are just really good friends. I loved, like, when we introduced Ozzy in season 5, I really liked Rochelle. And yeah, like, I liked that he was just a little charmer. Like, and I liked, the way I liked the progression of how Ozzy liked Rochelle is, I loved season 5 when he was like young, but I liked that he just was very confident of liking Rochelle, and it was just like, oh, you know, it was cute, so you couldn't really take him seriously. And then season 6, he continued to like be like, I want to impress her. Sometimes it got a little bit annoying, but again, I think that at that point with his age still, I like that he just kind of persisted and was like, you know, just being like, I like Rochelle, yeah, I do, you know. And honestly, when they did Michelle and Emily were studio head in season 6, and they were doing duets, and those two were paired together, honestly, I completely agreed with them picking those two, saying they genuinely look like they're having the most fun. I agree. Every time they've danced together, it feels like it just clicks. It feels like it's just natural. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed them on screen. Season 7, I'll admit, was a tiny bit, like, there were moments where it felt like Ozzy definitely calmed down with how, like, much he would, you know, be like, oh, Rochelle. But then there was moments where he would kind of revert back to it, and I felt like it felt a bit forced, because Julian Lombardi at that point was grown. You know, he was much taller, and he just felt so much older, and I felt like it didn't really fit anymore. This thing of like being OTT over Rochelle, being like too much. But again, I liked that they maintained this friendship. That's the thing. There's gems there. At the end of season 6, Ozzy was the one who was there for Rochelle. Rochelle's always like every like season it feels like she's just speaking about how Ozzy's really sweet, and has been there for her. And honestly, I think the payoff was fair. For me, a lot of this is about payoff. Like, and the reason why I've put Ozzy and Rochelle at the top there is because it felt like them deciding to get together made sense. It would have made sense either way. If they decided not to, that's fine. If they decided to, that was also going to be okay, because it felt like they had put those gems in there, and it felt like they were both drawn to each other. Like every season they were drawn to each other, especially again when you're starting to see the end of season 6. This is the kind of ending that I would have wanted for Hunter and Emily. Again, even if it wasn't like those two ended up together, but it was like a conclusion, it was like a closure. And you know, that's the kind of, you know, the same treatment that I would have liked for those two. But yes, nevertheless, yeah, this for me just felt so great. There was no, I don't think it was like toxic at times. It felt like they did have their drama, like especially like when Shad came into the picture in season 8. So there was this question of like, when it came to like crunch time to be like, oh, okay, are they actually going to get together now? I did like that there was other people potentially involved, because it'd been so long. And I think for them to suddenly be like, oh yeah, we like each other, yep, they're going to get together, that's it, would have been okay. But I did like the thing that other people have now come around, because, you know, Ozzy isn't just going to sit around and wait for Rochelle forever. So I liked that Cassidy came around, whether I like to say subsided for a bit or just kind of like calm, which again suited because he was older and a lot more mature now. And so, yeah, well, that is the conclusion on my top favourite couples. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, bye.